In the spring of 1900, a group of Greek sponge divers were blown off course by a violent storm in the Aegean Sea. They found shelter near a barren, rocky islet called Antikythera, a place known only for its dangerous cliffs and deep waters. To pass the time while waiting for the wind to die down, the captain, Dimitrios Kondos, sent one of his divers down to look for sponges. The diver, Elias Stadiatis, put on his heavy canvas suit and copper helmet and descended 150 feet into the dark blue abyss. Minutes later he signaled frantically to be pulled up, and when they removed his helmet he was hyperventilating, his eyes wide with terror. He told the captain he had seen a heap of dead naked women rotting on the sea floor, surrounded by horses. The captain thought the diver was suffering from nitrogen narcosis, the rapture of the deep. So he went down himself to investigate the claim. But it wasn't a hallucination, it was a shipwreck, a massive Roman galley that had sunk 2,000 years ago carrying a cargo of marble statues. They began to salvage the treasures, pulling up beautiful bronze statues, glassware, and jewelry that would eventually fill the museums of Athens. But among the priceless art, they found a shapeless, corroded lump of bronze and wood, about the size of a shoebox, which they ignored. It looked like a worthless rock, so they threw it into a crate in the courtyard of the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. It sat there, ignored and drying out, for 2 years, until one day in 1902 the lump cracked open due to the drying wood. An archaeologist named Valerios Stais noticed something glinting inside the crack, looked closer, and saw something impossible embedded in the corrosion. He saw a precision-cut bronze gear wheel with tiny, perfectly spaced triangular teeth, something that should not exist in the ancient world. This discovery sent a shock wave through the scientific world because gears like this were not supposed to be invented until the 14th century in Europe. Finding a gear mechanism in a shipwreck from 60 BC was like finding a jet engine in the tomb of King Tutankhamun. It was an out-of-place artifact that threatened to rewrite the entire history of engineering, suggesting we had missed a massive chapter of human progress. For decades, skeptics claimed it was a fake, arguing that a modern clock must have fallen onto the ancient wreck by accident during the salvage. But as they cleaned the fragments, they found ancient Greek inscriptions etched into the metal, proving beyond a doubt that this was no modern fake. In the 1950s, a British physicist named Derek de Solla Price spent 20 years analyzing the device using early X-ray technology. He looked inside the corroded mass and found a complex system of 30 interconnected gears, realizing it wasn't just a clock, but a computer. It was an analog computer designed to calculate astronomical positions, but the full truth wasn't revealed until 2005 with 3D tomography. A team of scientists used high-resolution X-ray scanning to see not just the gears, but the user manual written in tiny text on the back plate. The Antikythera Mechanism was a machine of mind-blowing sophistication that tracked the position of the sun and the moon with absolute precision. It predicted solar and lunar eclipses decades in advance, to the exact hour, and even predicted the color of the eclipse, which was an omen. It tracked the dates of the Pan-Hellenic Games, including the Olympics, but the most shocking discovery was how it tracked the movement of the moon. The moon does not orbit the Earth in a perfect circle. It moves in an ellipse, speeding up when closer to Earth and slowing down when further away. To calculate this variable speed mechanically requires advanced calculus and differential gearing, something we thought was discovered by Johannes Kepler in the 17th century. The mechanism used a pin-and-slot device that perfectly mimicked this anomaly, proving the Greeks had this math 1,500 years before Kepler. The Greeks had mechanized the cosmos, proving they didn't just look at the sky with superstition, but with advanced mathematical understanding. But who built it? The craftsmanship suggests it was not a prototype, but a refined product created by a workshop with a long tradition. There are no mistakes in the gear teeth, and the tolerances are tight, implying that this technology was well established, not a one-off invention. Some historians point to Archimedes, the greatest engineer of antiquity, as Cicero wrote about a sphere built by him that showed planetary movements. For centuries, historians thought Cicero was speaking metaphorically, but the mechanism proves he was describing a physical object that actually existed. But Archimedes died in 212 BC, more than 100 years before the ship sank, suggesting the technology was passed down. This raises a terrifying question about our history. If they had analog computers, what else did they have that was lost to time? Bronze was valuable. So in the ancient world, if a machine broke, you didn't put it in a museum, you melted it down to make a sword. The only reason this one survived is because it was hidden at the bottom of the sea, protecting it from the recycling of history. If they had analog computers, did they have steam engines? We know Hero of Alexandria invented a steam turbine called the Aeolipoli around the same time. Did they have optics? The lenses required to cut the tiny gears of the Antikythera Mechanism would have to be incredibly precise. The existence of this machine proves that humanity has suffered a massive amnesia, a deletion of knowledge that set us back nearly 2 millennia. We reached a peak of technology 2,000 years ago, and then we fell off a cliff into the dark ages, losing the ability to calculate the stars. Why did the knowledge disappear? Was it just the fall of Rome? Or was it something more systematic, like the burning of the Library of Alexandria? The Antikythera Mechanism is a survivor, a witness to a murdered timeline of human progress that we are only just beginning to reconstruct. But there is a detail on the mechanism that points to something even older. The calendar ring uses the names of months from Corinth. Specifically, it uses names from the colonies of northwest Greece, but the start date of the calculations aligns with 205 BC. Some researchers believe the math inside the machine isn't Greek at all, but inherited from the Babylonians, who inherited it from the Sumerians. We are looking at a chain of knowledge that goes back to the gods, preserving data that was handed down from a higher civilization. The user manual inscribed on the bronze plates mentions the movements of the planets, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, and Venus, but the planetary gears are missing from the fragments we found, leaving a gap in our understanding of how they tracked the wandering stars. However, in 2021, a team from University College London built a digital model that proved the mechanism could track all 5 known planets. They managed to fit the entire cosmos into a box just a few inches deep, creating the ancient equivalent of a laptop computer. If a Roman general wanted to know the position of Mars in 10 years to plan a war, he just turned a crank on the side of the box. It turns time into a physical dimension that can be manipulated by hand, allowing the user to scroll forward and backward through history. Think about the connection to the chronovisor we discussed in the last video. One viewed time electronically, the other viewed it mechanically. Both devices suggest that time is a fixed structure, a script that has already been written and can be read if you have the right tool. There is another theory, a forbidden one, suggesting that the complexity of the gears is too advanced for the Bronze Age evolution of technology. Some researchers argue that the jump in technology is artificial, perhaps a degraded copy of a navigational computer from a Vimana. The diver who found it saw dead women and horses, indicating the ship was carrying luxury goods looted from the Greek world for Rome. Among the statues was the machine, likely considered a toy for the rich, a curiosity rather than a scientific breakthrough. The Romans didn't understand the power of what they had stolen. They saw a gadget. They didn't see the calculus that could have revolutionized the world. This is the tragedy of the ancient world. The engineers were servants to the emperors, and technology was used for amusement or war, never liberation. But imagine if this technology had not been lost. Imagine if the Industrial Revolution had started in Athens in 100 BC instead of 1800 AD. We would be a spacefaring civilization by the year 1000 AD, and we would have colonized Mars before Columbus ever sailed to America. The Antikythera Mechanism is a monument to what could have been, showing us that progress is not guaranteed and civilization is fragile. We can have computers and space travel, and in a few centuries we can be back to mud huts, wondering what the shiny metal boxes were used for. We are walking the same path today. We store our knowledge in the cloud on digital servers that require constant electricity to exist. If the power goes out, if a solar flare hits, our knowledge evaporates, but the Greeks carved their knowledge into bronze, and it survived the ocean for 2 millennia, suggesting that maybe we are the ones who are primitive, relying on a grid we don't understand. There is a movement now to build a new Antikythera mechanism, to recreate the device using the tools of the era to prove it could be done. But every time engineers try, they struggle, because the precision required is on the absolute edge of what a human hand can do without lasers. It suggests the ancients had magnifying lenses, lathes, and precision tools we haven't found yet, or that the makers were not ordinary humans. The ship sank near Antikythera, but the likely origin was the island of Rhodes, which was the center of astronomy and engineering. It was also the home of the Colossus, a giant automaton of the sun god Helios, which legends say could move and defend the harbor. Pindar wrote that the animate figures stand adorning every public street and seem to breathe in stone, suggesting a tradition of robotics. Was the Antikythera mechanism the brain of an automaton? Was it the control unit for a mechanical god that we have forgotten? We may never know the full scope of what was lost, as the sea has only given us one piece of the puzzle, one fragment of a larger picture. But that one piece is enough to destroy the arrogance of the modern world and prove that we stand on the shoulders of forgotten giants. The mechanism is currently ticking away in Athens, a silent reminder of the Golden Age. But the question remains, are there others? Are there more devices waiting in the mud of the Mediterranean, or hidden in the vaults of private collectors who know their true value? Rumors circulate of a second mechanism found in a shipwreck off the coast of Sicily in 2012, but the findings were never published. The site was closed, the divers were silenced, and the artifact vanished, leading us to wonder if history is being curated. Is the timeline being kept simple to keep us believing that we are the smartest generation that ever lived, ignoring the cycles of the past? The Antikythera mechanism proves that the timeline is not a straight line. It is a loop, and we are rediscovering what was already known. What do you think? Was this device a fluke of genius, a solitary invention, or was it the standard technology of a lost era? Did the Greeks build it from scratch, or did they find the schematics in the ruins of a previous civilization like Atlantis? And why did we lose the ability to build it for 1500 years? Was it suppressed, or was it simply forgotten in the chaos? Tell me your theory in the comments, because understanding this machine might be the key to understanding our true potential. We have looked at the technology of the past, but now we must look at the forbidden texts that survived the Great Fire. In the next video we are going to travel to the caves of Qumran, deep in the desert, to open the jars hidden for 2,000 years. We are going to read the Dead Sea Scrolls, but not the ones they teach you in Sunday school or history class. We are going to read the Book of Giants, the text that confirms the Nephilim were real and that they ruled the earth before the flood. You need to be subscribed, because the scrolls tell a story that the Bible tried to delete, and we are going to read it out loud.